It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Hey, before I get into today's video, I want to do a big shout out to Lee Mayfield. Lee Mayfield's the founder of FlipDeck. No, it's not a t-shirt company. It's a software package. It's a software that allows me to take multiple links of my content, put it all in a nice, neat package, and distribute that into the digital landscape. All nice in one place. Folks, it's awesome software. I highly recommend FlipDeck software. But today I want to talk about some of the things I've seen in the industry's blogs and something I saw on HP's website. And folks, there's some lessons here. HP's website's a lesson in you got to make sure your website's up to date and current. Whether you're a $60 billion company or whether you're a $200,000 company. If you got a website, you ought to make sure the information on there is accurate. So I'm going to share that with you in a second. But I read something in one of the industry's blogs. It was an interview with one of the OEM leaders. And in this interview, the OEM leader said that print was going to decline 1 to 3% per year. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell? This has to be a mistake. I was going to reach out to the editor, but I thought, there's no reason to reach out to the editor because it's probably completely accurate because I've heard this leader say this before. I really think it should be 11 to 13%, not 1 to 3. But see, if you say 1 to 3, what that does is that reassures everybody that we're just fine because 1 to 3% is like a rounding error. Who cares? You got people that'll hear that and they'll say to themselves, I don't need to worry about it. It's only going to drop 1 to 3%. We'll be okay. If it's going to drop 11 to 13% per year, that'd be a crisis. We better pay attention to that. Ladies and gentlemen, our industry just cannot talk about realities. We always have to sugarcoat stuff to a point of almost absurdity. In this interview, the OEM leader also mentioned that they understood that they had to replace declining print revenue with alternative revenue sources and services, right? They know this. They're saying, hey, print revenue is declining, and we got to replace that declining print revenue with other services. Here's the problem. If this OEM leader really believes it's only going to drop 1 to 3%, they don't have an impending doom to deliver those other services. They could have those other services in their organization for like a decade and never do anything with them because they don't think there's a problem with print. And we don't want that to happen, do we? Ladies and gentlemen, we got to address the realities in the marketplace. Does anybody honestly believe that print is only going to drop 1 to 3% per year? Really? Is this what we believe? So I'm looking on the internet and I found an article, and I'm going to share that article with you just as soon as I share with you what I saw on HP's website, because this is so absurd it's comical. So I'm on HP's website and I scroll down here where it says Press Center and I click on that. And lo and behold, Christoph Schnell, Chief Commercial Officer, HP Inc., Executive Spokespeople. And they were talking about the HP Amplify Impact, and they got Christoph as one of the spokespeople for that program. And I thought to myself, well, wait a second. Christoph Schnell doesn't even work at HP anymore. He went over to Intel. And then I thought, well, maybe I just misread that. Maybe he's got a part-time job over at HP. I mean, there's something going on here, right? I had to do some investigating. Well, I went back and, folks, he is at Intel. Intel names Christoph Schnell Executive Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer. So I don't know why he'd be over at HP's website as a spokesperson. Then I thought, well, maybe when Warren Buffett made that investment in HP, Christoph Schnell got so excited he went back to HP. But no, he's still over there at Intel. Pretty safe to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, the point of this, whether you're a $60 billion company or whether you're a small company, make sure your website's accurate. I'm sure after today's video, HP will fix this mistake they have on their website. Enrique Loris, he probably won't do it himself, but he might have someone on the team go ahead and take care of that. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about an article I found out there. And this is an interesting website, okay? TechRadar.pro, IT Insights for Business. And I open this up and the very first thing I get is an advertisement from HP. Folks, HP's everywhere trying to get your customers that you've been selling to transactionally. They're trying to get those customers in a digital landscape and sell them products and services. Not services, just products, right? They're trying to do this. So keep giving them the data because they need the help finding your customers. But anyway, I'm looking at this website and I want to show you the headline. And I want you to imagine this headline being in one of our industry's blogs or magazines. Just imagine, if you will. Could everyone's most hated office tech be heading for the scrap heap? And folks, they're talking about MFPs and printers. You see, this headline would never appear in any of our industry's press. We couldn't even think about that. That would be like blasphemy. Oh my gosh, you can't talk like that. Pandemic has accelerated the decline of printing. Industry report claims. Industry report claims the print's declining. Well, you would think logic would explain that the industry's declining. I mean, it's just logical that it's declining, right? But I wanted to go further into the article. This is where I got to get the sharp magic board working. I got the red pen in my hand. Sometimes if you circle this stuff in red, it kind of, makes it stand out a little bit better. But let's just read this. The pandemic may have changed working habits in yet another way after new data claim the demand for printers is dropping off sharply. Let me just underline that word, sharply. Could you imagine if this article was in one of our industry's blogs or press? Could you imagine how it would be? They'd probably say this. The pandemic may have changed working habits in yet another way after new data claim the demand for printers is slightly less than it was before. So they would say it's slightly less than it was before. They wouldn't say it's dropping off sharply or falling off a cliff or any of those words. They would never do that. That would be too upsetting to people. According to a report from analyst firm IDC, I gotta underline IDC. I mean, IDC is a respected place, right? We get data from IDC. We love to quote the data from IDC that makes us all feel good, right? But don't quote the data from IDC that makes us all feel bad, because we don't want to feel bad about anything. We'd rather feel good. We don't really need to have any pain to make us better. Let me just read this. According to a report from analyst firm IDC, based on a poll of 4,700 full-time employees, the number of pages printed from home and office devices fell by a massive 14%. Folks, fell by a massive 14%. This is where we would say something like, it fell to a slightly massive 14%. No, we wouldn't even use the word massive. We probably wouldn't even put this part in the article. I mean, we wouldn't want to make anybody think that print fell 14%. That would freak people out too much, right? But here's the other thing, folks. It says office devices and home. So it doesn't really matter whether they're at home or whether they're in the office. They're going to print less in a remote workforce. We all know that, right? Because the data's telling us that. So it's not about putting DCA tools in people's houses and all this crazy nonsense. It's not about HP selling the whole world a subscription for their little printer in their house. It's all a bunch of nonsense. Print's declining. Our industry addresses the home office. I remember one time reading an article, and it was a survey that somebody had done. And they said if the organization bought the printer for the person in their house, they would print more. Like it had nothing to do with the actual job the person does or anything. If you just bought them a printer, they would print more. Totally insane. But it's a way for us to talk about our industry to make everybody feel good because we don't want to address any kind of realities. The drop-off was most extreme across the types of printers frequently found in office environments. The usage of laser printers fell by 16%. Laser printers, 16%, wow. Well, A3 printers gathered even more generous layer of dust. Could you imagine an article like this in one of our industry's magazines? There's no way. They would never do it. I mean, they would say, oh, we gotta edit out the word dust. We can't say that our machines are collecting dust because that would mean that people didn't use them. They didn't rely on them like they did back in 1990. And it's our job to keep everybody in the 1990s and the year 2000. I mean, if we start getting people to face the realities of the marketplace, I mean, we would probably have to hire more people that understood the realities of the marketplace because we're all just trying to figure out how to save tomorrow. Oh, excuse me. See, I made a mistake. Even Ray makes mistakes every once in a while. They're trying to save yesterday. They don't want to talk about tomorrow. And if tomorrow's upsetting, they just completely leave it off the page. So I strongly suggest that everybody in the Document Imaging channel start going outside of the normal media, magazines and press releases and blogs. And start looking in the broader tech community. And listen to how they're talking about the industry. Listen to how they value the industry. Look, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about print just going away tomorrow. It's about print declining massively, not 1 to 3%. It's about the need for dealers to offer other services and products in those accounts to offset the loss of print. It's about not selling A3 and selling A4. And how are you going to do that profitably? It's about not having to rely on prematurely upgrading 5-year leases on oversold equipment and do that profitably. It's about changing the damn game, and the only way we're going to change the game is if we change the conversation and make it about realities instead of fantasies. Instead of telling people what you believe they want to hear so they'll continue to pay you if you're a consultant, or telling people what you think they want to hear because you think if they like you, they'll do more business with you. Folks, this isn't about anything but reality. And I'm hoping our industry can start facing reality. Because if it doesn't, the tech world around us is positioning themselves perfectly to come and educate all the industry's customers on the reality that the big A3 in the hallway is just a dust collector. And we have a better way. And I would think an industry that's 5 decades old would want to have a continuous relevancy and share with those end users the better way themselves, as opposed to losing their great relationship when somebody else delivers them a better experience. Just some things to think about, my friends, because we all know this: status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all on Monday.